Elijah was scared and fled to safety. How interesting. Elijah, the one who had faced his bitter enemy Ahab, the one who had boldly confronted and slaughtered 400 men, the one who had gone against the majority religion at that time, the one who saw fire fall from heaven, trembled and fled before the threat of Jezebel. We may find it difficult to understand this. We have just left a powerful, confident, brave Elias. And now we find a weak Elias, fleeing in terror and very upset by the threat of a powerful woman. Yes, of course, but he had just witnessed what power truly is. Look at what Elijah says in 1 Kings 19:3-4. When he arrived at Beersheba in Judah, he left his servant there and walked a whole day in the desert. He came to where there was a bush, and he sat in the shade of it wanting to die. I'm fed up, Lord. He protested. Take my life, for I am no better than my ancestors. Here is the great prophet Elijah at his lowest moment, having experienced the mountain top. Now he was in the lowest dark valley of his existence. Take my life. This is fed up. This Elias, as we see, is a glass of clay. Just like you and me. In those low moments, what did Elias need? What could sustain Elijah? No, the same thing he held when he was on the top of the mountain. Because there is no difference. At all times we depend on our great covenant Lord. In our highest moments we depend on the Lord, but also in our lowest moments we depend on the great God of the covenant. And that is precisely what happened. Elijah is taken to Mount Horeb, which is Mount Sinai itself, do you remember? Where Moses had his encounter with God. In the burning bush. Both Elijah and Moses had their meeting on that same mountain. And there on Mount Horeb God confirms to Elijah his presence and his protection. He tells him that he was wrong to think that he was alone because God had 7,000 Israelites who had not bowed the knee to Baal. And basically he tells him that 541. His mission is not over, that he should get up and go to some more assignments that he had for him. In the end, Jezebel could not do anything against Elijah, but on the contrary, she and Ahab received God's righteous judgment on their lives. We are vessels of clay, and as such, we depend on our covenant God. At all times, in our highest moments and in our lowest moments. The answer to our lives is the same, our great covenant God. And we may mistakenly think that these men like Abraham, Moses, Gideon, Elijah were different from us, that they had impeccable faith or unbreakable confidence, but the Bible tells us that this was not the case. Of Elijah it is said, for example, in James 5:17 that he was a man with weaknesses like ours, yet he did great things. How did he do it? With his own resources, with his own power, with his great faith? No, it was only for our great covenant God. At all times, whether high or low, we depend on him. The Old Testament testifies that Moses and Elijah went up the mount to have an encounter with God, and there their lives were